How we doing? Manchester United are back on the weekend. We're going down to Selhurst Park, South London. Eagles #1 for a big football match in the English Premier League. Manchester United coming off a nice 7-0 win against League One minnows Barnsley Town in the EFL Cup, and now it's about getting back to business in the Premier League. Southampton away. That was fun. That was nice. We talked about it. Hey, we felt good. 3-0. But they're probably the worst team in the league if you look at the underlying statistics. So now Palace, we know how good they are. We know how hard they can be to beat. I think we haven't beat them at like Selhurst Park in 4 years. It's been a minute, so this manager hasn't won there. We were there the game before Erik ten Hag's first game in charge, the end of the season before he started. That was an embarrassing affair at Selhurst Park. So we've got a history.
He was in the stands.
He was in the stands. I was there, of course, for the Matic winner, certainly in spirit.
Under Mourinho, right?
Under Mourinho. That was a hell of a game. So we've had a mixed record at Selhurst Park. So how are you feeling about our adventure down to South London? Lads feeling frisky. How you feeling confidence-wise?
South London's #1. Selhurst Park, we've been there a few times. I've been there almost 3 times. Hell of a stadium. It's proper old English, 24,000. The pitch is a little shorter than Old Trafford. It's a nice time to go down there, nice time of the year. But as far as the team we're facing, they're frisky. They have a hell of an attack, right? They turned it around last year. Eze, he's been firing, but hasn't been able to score as much as he should have, but generating a lot of XG. Our backline is going to struggle against that attack. It's something where we need to be switched on. Look, beating Barnsley 7-0, great. But it's on to Cincinnati. It's on to Crystal Palace. If you lose to them, no one's going to care about Barnsley. It's really, we have to show up. We have to show up in scoring form in the league and get a clean sheet. You need to be able to hit 2 or 3 convincing victory. Ten Hag, lots on his mind. Who is he going to play in the midfield? Who is he going to play at number 9? We saw Rashford do great against Barnsley with Garnacho on the left. Lots of questions for the manager. How do you think he's thinking through all these different challenges with the starting 11?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of good questions. Given the potency of the Palace attack, you got to think even with Elise heading off to Bayern and big money, that's something that's notable. But they still have Eze. They have other players. That striker we were talking about, he's dangerous one. I think this is the first opportunity that we can see Ugarte shine. I think this is why we signed him. Bring out the best in Kobe and Bruno. Cover the back line. De Ligt and Martinez. They should be the guys. They are de facto starters. It's come to center back. And he's going to have a big challenge. This guy we're playing against is a serious manager. This is not Roy Hodgson, who is serious too, but this is a real tactician. Comes out of Germany, knows his shit, and he's going to have those boys like fine-tuned machine. This Palace team will be highly coached, highly motivated, playing at home against a team they love to beat at home. So this is a big test for United. Because like you said, if we don't have our scoring boots, they're probably going to find a goal, at least one goal. So we have to score. We have to outscore them. We have to dominate possession. We have to control our losses, make sure the midfield's not too open. This is a big test. Big test.
Huge test for Manchester United, but a quick PSA for the podcast before we get in to the breakdown. Check out our YouTube. We are now on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is flying off the ground. Search American Red Devils on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Every little bit goes a long way to help spread the Muppet Take. We need to find other Muppets out there. They need the Muppet Take. Help our YouTube channel. Help it grow. Check it out, American Red Devils on YouTube. Also, check out our Patreon page. Big shout out to all of our Patreon members. They made YouTube possible. Help support us. Get all this equipment in the pod bunker. Even a portable AC unit during the summer storm has made it a little more bearable, but still hot in here. If you want to support us on Patreon and go the extra mile, patreon.com/American Red Devils. Behind the scenes episode every month, mailbag, tons of other benefits. Check it out. Join the best community out. Patreon.com/American Red Devils. And also grab some merchandise. Viva Garnacho scarves flying off the shelves. Our trucker hats, very popular as well. Shirts, scarves, stickers, beanies. It's going to get cold out. You definitely need that American Red Devils beanie. Everything you buy supports the pod. Check it out. And also, go to our website, AmericanRedDevils.com. Blog content there. More Muppet takes. Everything you need to support the greatest football club in all the land. And, sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews and 5-star reviews of the American Devils wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. It helps us get found organically by other top Muppets like yourself, and we're still giving away free merch. All you have to do is write a 5-star review wherever you listen. But if you listen on iTunes and Spotify and send a screenshot of that review and send it to americanreddevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, I will personally pick, pack, and ship free American Red Devil design gear. I'll send it right to your door anywhere in the world. 5-star American Red Devils. For those 5-star Reds, I'm hoping we see all 5 stars.
Free. Do you get anything free anymore? Like,
Nothing.
Honestly, I don't think I've heard of anything being free ever.
Free.
Well, we will give you free Muppet
stuff.
Take gear if you give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. But, sir, we have a match to break down. We're nervous. Let's jump into it.
Barnsley's fun, but this is the real McCoy.
Crystal Palace away, Selhurst Park, Manchester United, 39% win probability. It's right down the line as far as Google is concerned. This means everything for our league start. It was a tough go, but now United kind of finding some form against Southampton and Barnsley. Crystal Palace is that next step. Can we take it? Can we find some form? Please find some form, Manchester United. Look, quick little view of Selhurst Park. You know, it's a tidy stadium there, tucked into South London. Man, that away stand is hopping there. You can see in the lower left-hand corner. We've been there with United fans. It gets crazy. It gets loud. The away support will be having a lot of fun in London, but man, let's hope the football is better than the last time we went there.
Yeah, it's a great place to be when you're winning. It's a horrible place to be when you're losing and you're looking for a goal, because their crowd, they're going to be up for it. United's fans are going to be tucked away in that corner, fighting each other for a view of the
Tell them
field.
about it. Tell them about it. When you go away,
it's fucking
the
wild,
away
bro.
days with Manchester United fans is the hardest of the hardcore, sir. You got a seat with a ticket. You show up. There's 2 people in your seat. Everybody's standing. Everybody's going nuts. And that's the way it is. You got to fight for an inch to get to your seat in the away stand.
It's like playing the Eagles. It's like, you know, it's not for the faint of heart. You know, I went on a Monday night where they
not
moved.
for the kids.
It's not for the kids. You don't bring the 8-year-olds to away, especially night game. I went to a Monday night game.
But the stewards don't police it because it's basically just like anarchy in there. It's crazy. But it's a great time, as always. Selhurst Park, fond memories from the American Red Devils. All right, the weather. Let's check in with our weatherman, Alex, translating the Celsius into Fahrenheit.
So we're going to be right around. It's going to be nice. It's going to be warm for London. We're going to be at 72 degrees Celsius, right around 22 degrees. No, excuse me. 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius. So a nice day, sunny and breezy, lovely
22% chance of rain, though. We got a little shout at some precipitation there on the south coast. Could make it interesting. Maybe that goes Crystal Palace's way.
Yeah, I think we like the rain. I think we're Manchester. You know, we always prefer a wet day. The boys are used to it. But it should be a nice day. Hopefully it's not too hot. You know, 72 degrees doesn't sound like much, but in London, that can catch up on you. We know that. Shout out the Hackney Half, but it should be nice. It shouldn't be an issue. The weather is still nice in England. Should be for a couple more months, couple more weeks. I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, and as far as kickoff in America, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, September 21st. Could be a nice day out in London. Could be a good game to watch. We need to see Manchester United find the level. Sir, you've been doing some investigation on the food, the local cuisine around Selhurst Park. What do you got?
We're going to do Scran coverage. So we're going to talk about food options, whether it's an OT or other stadiums.
I've never heard of Scran. What is Scran?
Scran is what food options are affectionately called within sports offerings. So, like, a stadium has good Scran.
Somebody
good
Google
food.
it. Is this real or
It's
did
Scran,
Alex make it
there's
up
all
in
these
his
Scran
mind?
accounts, bro. I did not make this up. This is a thing. So if you're going to Selhurst Park, do not eat at the stadium. Tasty Jerk, Jamaican food. Apparently, it's absolute fire. I've heard about this place for years. We did not check it out. We should have checked it out. But, yeah, don't eat the stadium. Tasty Jerk, right around the corner. Get yourself some jerk chicken. Delicious.
If you find yourself in South London, this place looks like it's real busy. Look at that photo. Give us a little update on their finish in 23-24.
They had a good season. They finished in 10th place. They finished the highest they have finished in 10 seasons since 14-15. So 10th place is not too bad to shout out when we finished in 8th. They sold their best player, Mikel Eze, to Bayern for £50 million. Seems like good value when you pay $85 million for Anthony, but that's a different story. So they're a good team. They, like I said, they lost their best player. We'll talk about the acquisitions they made in a second. They finished quite well last season. We knew that. They beat the shit out of us. We lost 4-0 at Selhurst Park last year. I couldn't even believe it. But yeah, they're a tough team. That's why we're acting like they're going to be a tough team, because we know it. And they have a very good coach. They finished the season with Glasner, this new guy, and he's the real deal. The more I've learned about him, he's a real tactician. It seems like everyone in the Premier League has like a legit manager that, isn't just like a rah-rah guy these days.
Yeah, no, he came in and turned it around last year, got the attack firing. Lifetime versus Crystal Palace, we've won 41, drawn 13, lost 12. First time we played them, 1922. Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, we beat them in the second division, 2-1. And the last 5, sir, we've drawn 1, won 2, and lost 2. We are on a 2-game losing streak against Crystal Palace. Tough pill to swallow. 5-0 on aggregate. United can do better.
And like I said, we have not won at Selhurst Park in 4 years. 4 years against a team that the highest finish they'd had in the last 4 years is 10th place. So that's just not good enough. That's a problem that's existed before Erik ten Hag. We were there. It's existed with Erik ten Hag. Holy shit, 4-0. So we got to keep this good times are rolling. We've only had 2 results. They've been nice, but now this is real deal. It's like, okay, Spurs, the end of the month, you got to take care of Palace away first, because this is a hard fixture and a hard place where we're going to have to fight for all 3 points. But if we do, then we start building up ahead of steam. So this is a big, big match for United based on where we are, how we started the season, and how we want the next couple of months to go.
Yeah, a little history on Crystal Palace. They argue that they're one of the older clubs in English football. You've heard the story about Wrexham being the oldest. Crystal Palace has a shout, but there was like a little discontinuation of the team, and it's a little vague. But, it says the club's origins can be traced as far back as 1861, but it gets a little murky.
Like 40 years.
It's like everybody claiming, the oldest pizza place in New York City. It's kind of very vague and unclear. But Crystal Palace has a shout because there was a football team playing in the Crystal Palace exhibition building for a long, long time. The club used the FA Cup final stadium after the Crystal Palace exhibition building from 1905 and 1915, when they were forced to leave due to the outbreak of the First World War. And in 1924, they moved to the current home, Selhurst Park. And the club are currently on the longest continuous run in the top flight, achieving 12 consecutive seasons at the start of the 24-25 campaign. So they have been a mainstay recently. And they also have a long-standing fierce rivalry with Brighton, Hove, and Albion. And they also share local rivalries with Millwall and Charlton Athletic, obviously also in South London. But Brighton being down on the South Coast, bitter rivals as well. And like you said, the manager, Glasner, came in, strong impact on Crystal Palace, coming from Wolfsburg, Frankfurt. Tell us about Glasner.
Yeah, I was incorrect. He's not a German. He's Austrian. So comes out of Austrian football, but also has made his mark in the Bundesliga over the last 5 seasons. So he's the one. You've been hearing a lot about this Eintracht Frankfurt side. They won the Europa League. He was the manager. He made it to the knockout stages of the Champions League, something obviously this United side couldn't do last year. So he is a legit coach. And Crystal Palace, like you said, they've become a mainstay in the EPL. They were not a mainstay when we became fans 20 years ago. So they have really kind of like pushed themselves in, and they seem to be getting better and better. Like I said, they sold their best player, but they've recruited pretty well. They keep bringing in these killers. Their striker is a real player. Eze is a real player. And the manager seems a top-notch manager. It seems like the kind of player that, the guy would go on to coach a Spurs someday or a Newcastle. But, stepping stone Palace may be, but a very competent manager. So we have to be ready because they're going to have tactics, sir. They got tactics. They like to How does this sound familiar? They like to build up from the back, and they like to press really high and control the midfield. So that's the game of the game. They like to play a 4-2-5-1, which is kind of crazy. But it's all about managing the midfield, dominate that. They like to play from the back with a goalkeeper that can play with the ball at his feet. That's Hendo. I don't know how well he can play the ball at his feet, but that's what he likes to do. Gets the extra man in the midfield, dominate possession. Sounds a little bit like Erik ten Hag sometimes.
So 4-2-5 is the formation. Interesting how he sets up. Obviously, United this is gonna be a tough test. Look, this is literally like we're a mid-table side at the moment, and this is a solid mid-table team, and we're going away mid-table rivalry. I hate to say we're in this
rivalry. Like 8th versus 10th. I mean, hey, it's true.
We beat Southampton away. You know, this is sort of a big, like Southampton 19th, 20th, like worst in the league. Okay, we did that. Now you're kind of stepping up to the mid-table. They were finished 10th last year. Let's see if we can kind of, you know, beat them at their own game. And like United, the problem I have is Southampton, when they pressed us high, it was effective for 30 minutes. 30 strong minutes that led to a penalty. They were getting at us, and it was rarely effective, and Crystal Palace is going to be that and better. It was only because United scored, the Onana saving the penalty, then scoring right after that kind of broke their back, plus I think the fitness issues with trying to play that intense. Crystal Palace will be a little better, probably conserve energy and be a little more effective than Southampton, but this is going to be a real tough test for United.
And they're going to look to expose the areas where we're the most vulnerable, which is like when we push up and they look to break on us very, very quickly, which is where we saw us vulnerable time after time, right? Obviously, that hole in the midfield, but when we got broken on last year, we would fall apart. We couldn't get organized. We couldn't pull ourselves together, and they're going to look to take advantage of that because they have a lot of speed in the side. They look to play very direct, and they're going to look to press us, like you said. So if we cannot play out the back, it's going to turn into a hoofball quickly. And I just hope that we can stick with plan A because it doesn't get too wobbly too early. But I just know this team sometimes loses its nerve, which is why we just need more reps. We need more reps of like high performance because right now we just, you know, we feel a little adversity and we kind of fall over.
They're making money in the transfer window, netted positive 23 million euros with the sales. Obviously, you mentioned selling Olise. Tell us about their transfer window, sir.
They brought in Eddie Nikita from Arsenal, of course, kind of this highly rated youngster that never was. Nketiah, excuse me. You know, keep me honest here. Ismail Sarr came into Marseille. He's a player that has featured in the Premier League before. He's had a good career in France. So, you know, they brought in a couple. They lost a few. They still make a profit, unbelievably so. Turner came on for a loan, right? So he's going to be behind Hendo.
USA. Chalaba as well. So a lot of movement here. It'd be interesting if it gels.
It will be, but they've recruited very well. I mean, I think they've shown that. They sold Anderson to Fulham, Joachim Anderson. He was a player that actually United was looking at apparently a year or two ago. So they sold their best defender and their best attacker. Now they brought players in. They have an excellent coach, but like you said, they're going to come so well organized. They're going to be so up for this match. They're going to press from the minute one. They're playing at home. We have to be the one that sets the tone. Kind of smacks them in the face and says, "Hey, we're gonna manage possession. We're gonna dominate the ball, and we're gonna create chances. And otherwise, they're gonna pick us apart, sir."
Up and down start to the season. Lost to Brentford. West Ham cooked them. Did beat Norwich in EFL Cup second round. Drew Chelsea. Drew Leicester. Just beat QPR. You know, they're not in the best form, but that they looked pretty sharp against. Their attack is looking good. I think the defense is their main issue this season. So, you know, look for us to try to score, but unfortunately, looks like we could possibly concede given their sharp attack. Looking at the starting 11, Mateta, he's the real deal. Their striker, Nketiah and Eze, those three are already clicking.
Yeah, they are.
After watching the highlights of all their games, I could definitely say that front three is very dangerous. We'll give our back line a tough time because Eze and Nketiah are basically swapping. Mateta's like driving the center backs deep into the keeper. It's going to create a lot of space. And obviously, you know, United back post issues, covered defending is going to be tough. But obviously, Dean Henderson, he's been playing well, you know, former United player, Sheffield United player as well. So look out for that attack. Midfield, we should be able to dominate. That doesn't scare me. It's just going to be when we press up and turn the ball over, watch out for Eze and Nketiah.
Yeah, we have to take our chances, and we have to limit the vulnerabilities in the back. Like you said, it's like we can't, because if we saw it 4-0 last year, it's like we let them cut us open. They'll take those chances. It's important to like limit the damage on the back end. It's like take our chances and don't get too caught open, because we've seen that move before.
And here's the deal. When you look at the average position of Southampton, midfield wide open. When you look at the average positioning against Barnsley, midfield's wide open. Now, what do you think the Crystal Palace manager is thinking about looking at that? It's like they can exploit that. And that's the problem with United is there is an issue in that midfield that we have. And what type of team is it going to take to really exploit that? And Crystal Palace is one of those teams where they possibly could and punish us. And like we've seen that in the past, like the Fulhams of the world opening us up, or Wolves even against us last year. So we really need to hope that Ugarte can shut that down. Some sort of combination in the midfield that Erik ten Hag can come up with can really shore things up for United so that we can go forward and not risk it all to try to get a goal.
And it's a big challenge for Ugarte. You know, he's going to be called upon to kind of help manage the midfield, limit the damages, and his first start in the EPL. So big test. Sir, help me with the pronunciation. Eze. How do you say that first? Eberechi?
Eberechi Eze. He's the number one player. Got him on my fantasy team. Should have scored a ton of goals. Hasn't. Created a ton of XG. He's going to be all over us. And Mateta is the real deal at number 9 for Crystal Palace. So I'm going to say Mateta's my one to watch. Eze is kind of that no-brainer. How do we deal with the midfield is the question for Erik ten Hag. So before we jump into Manchester United's midfield, let's look at the referee, sir. Who do we got there?
We got David Coote, English lad, Cote. I don't know. I don't think it's Cote. It's probably Coote. We have seen that. We have seen that
pick him out of the
mughead
lineup.
before. I've seen him before. They all look the same. I mean, I hate to say it. They all look the same. Let's look at the stats. I mean, I think, John, you pulled up a really interesting view. It's like, where does Dan rank and the rest of the numpties in terms of who gives out the most cards? And holy shit, he's top of the stack.
So David Coote, 2 games in, he averages the most yellows. So he looks like a nervous guy, you know, and he's given out a lot of yellows. And United are up there as far as yellows received as well. So expect us early yellows from this referee, good to impact the game, right? So you think about like a Kobe in the midfield or Ugarte getting a yellow 20th minute. Like that's what's going to happen in this game. We got to be thinking about this heading into Saturday and switched on because, you know, yellow cards, can't have them.
I think he set the record. I think he was the ref last weekend. I think it was it Chelsea versus Palace? And he set the most yellow cards in a game. So like you said, very, very good point. The midfield, when they're trying to break on United, and if it's a borderline tactical foul, it's like an early yellow for an Ugarte could be very, very dangerous because they're going to break at times. And we have to have an ability to kind of shut that down with the dark arts of football. And, you know, if he's flashing yellows early, that could come to bite us because we have seen red at Selhurst Park, sir. I don't need to remind you of that. Casemiro famously.
Of course you don't need to remind me of that. Quickly looking at United's 11 here. Last time we were out in the Premier League, Onana and Ned, Dolo, Martinez, Delit, Mazraoui, Mainu, Eriksson, Bruno. Midfield, Rashford left, Xerxes up top, Diallo on the right. He did switch it against Barnsley, but I'm not showing that 11 because this is more like the EPL starters.
Good job.
What changes would you make? What do you think here?
I think it's one change, max 2, and I think it's Ugarte for Eriksson. You know, I think you could argue you certainly could argue playing Garnacho over Rashford or even dropping Xerxes. But I think the move is you just do Ugarte, for Eriksson, lock up the midfield. The back 5 is the back 5. That's the best defense we got right now. And those boys are hunting. Bring on Garnacho in the 60th. He'll have an impact. Or start him and then bring Rashford on. He'll have all those guys, whether it's Rashford, Ahmad, or Garnacho, there's 2 spots. There's 3 lads. Anyone who's left out will have an impact off a sub. So I don't know. What are your subs, sir, versus what we show on the board?
Again, this is a tough one. I think you're right. He's going to go conservative in the midfield. He's going to put Ugarte in, Ugarte, Mainu. You got to keep Rashford running through the middle with Garnacho on the left. That just worked.
It did work.
And I'd like to see Garnacho, Rashford, and Diallo on the pitch.
Ooh.
Xerxes coming on as the sub. Like Xerxes looks good as a sub.
He does.
And so you needed that different look. Xerxes gives you that different look. I don't know if you need Xerxes. If they're going to press you high, you need that pace in behind. And that's the argument to play the Rashford Garnacho combo there. And then you have Xerxes kind of coming on to mix it up at the end. And there's lots of different options with Xerxes because he can drop deep and you can get Rashford, put Rashford on the left, have him make those runs. So I just like the fact that you can switch it with Xerxes coming on and go for pace early, because that's something that is going to differentiate the United attack.
I think it's a really good point. I think they can, they're going to be dangerous, but we could definitely get behind them with balls over the top. We've done that with some effectiveness this season, and Rashford is probably the most dangerous outlet. Him and Garnacho, and I mean, to be fair, they all do.
The link-up was good between Garnacho and Rashford.
It was very
there's
good.
Something there. Whether Garnacho comes, I think Garnacho should be 9.
They were rotating today. They should do that probably, right?
But it was Barnsley. Let's
you're right. You're right. It was like a nobody. So
let's calm down.
I'm calm.
Here comes the money.
Do I not look calm? I'm very calm. Now, when we get the shit kicked out of us against Palace, I'll be less calm.
Give me the odds from the bookmakers.
Sir, tight. Palace are slight underdogs at plus 175 at home, plus 260 for the draw, and plus 145 for United on the road. You're up this time, buddy. You're up, bucko.
We're getting some respect here from the bookmakers. I feel like
they're good. Palace are good. They haven't started well.
They haven't had the best start.
No, they haven't. But they're dangerous.
This one has draw written all over it. But I have to think that I just don't trust the Manchester United defense. I think, can we get 2 goals away after that performance if the manager doesn't mess with it too much up front? I think so. Could we concede 2? Absolutely. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw away. We should win. It's harsh. We get the draw, but we're looking better. We're on the way.
Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see that happening. I have no doubt in my mind.
So frustrating, but we're making strides forward.
Yeah, which I think that was kind of our prediction headed into the season, was like, better on the field, but it still doesn't kind of always add up on the table. I think it's going to be a 1-0 squeaker for Manchester United. The defense shows up. A lot of close calls. I think Onana is busy. I think Ugarte is busy. I think we get some big yellows, but United finds a way. Garnacho gets the winner, and it's a tight one because John reminds me. John will never. I'll tell you what, if we flip the script this season, folks, I think we might. It's 6-1. Just takes one 10-pointer, man, all of a sudden. But I'll make sure he brings that up as well. So John is leading. He's got a big lead. But, never say die.
What we're talking about is our, for everyone listening, our match prediction game. You get 3 points if you guess the result. You get 10 if you guess the result and score. I'm 5 for 5 on results, so 15 points. Alex, 2 for 5 on results because you're the Muppet always predicting the win. Alex has 6. Steak dinner on the line.
I actually predicted a draw. They won, so I've been more your line. I should just get more bullet. If I said today 7-0, I would have been eaten.
No, I know. I'll tell you, I predicted 4-0 Barnsley, and at 4, I was like, stop scoring.
I know you were. Scoring. I know this guy.
I need that 10-point bump to get that steak dinner. Regardless, having lots of fun recording the predictions this season. If you have predictions, drop them in the comments below for the Crystal Palace preview on YouTube. And that's it. That's the pod. If you guys like the Muppet Take, please support us. Check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the fun things. Check out our store, AmericaRedDevils.store, patreon.com/AmericaRedDevils. Sir, tell us our top 10 downloads last 7 days here.
Number 1, how you doing? Dublin, Ireland, Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, New York, Oslo, Norway, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Brooklyn, New York, Philadelphia, PA, and last but not least, Melbourne, Australia. Appreciate all the American Devils listening week in, week out. Couldn't do without you. Big game of the weekend, South London. Check out Tasty Jerk, and then hopefully we just beat up
It looks
those.
slammed. It looks slammed.
I'm telling you, it's a spot,
trying
bro.
to get in.
Looks slammed. This guy, the gourmand over here sitting next to me. Yeah. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you for a recap of the Palace game, and then football's coming thick and fast right after this. So huge game on the weekend. Can't wait.
Twente, we're back. Hans and Franz on the tables, but before, we've seen it all, sir. We've won the lot. Let's go.